Hey guys, Marsingin here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today I wanted to take a look at the Tech LR, Broly and Trunks, because of course they are now out on Global as well as JP. I wanted to take a look at them and see how good they can potentially be in the difficult content that has come out with the release of the anniversary. So we are over here in the GOGETA red zone. Now the thing is with these guys, I want to try and use them in a realistic setting. So I did the showcase on Global where we kept them on main rotation, but one of the things that I talked about in that video is that these guys do have this extra ability in their passive, which I'm assuming on this version is probably still in Japanese, yeah, even though the global version is out. But if they start the turn in slot 1 or 3, they create rainbow orbs, which they have done on this turn. So we can go ahead and do this. We can get the in orbs here for the Super Saiyans. In fact, we can literally get all of their orbs. And then Broly and Trunks in slot 3 are able to get 2 rainbow orbs here, which gives them a decent buff. And also gives them extra attack, where they get extra attack with each rainbow orb collected. So we'll see how we go. I managed to build my one on here the exact same way I built them on Global, on my actual account, which is a good mix of additional and dodge, giving them the optimal of the farmable skill orbs for them. Crit, they just have built in, right? They have a 50% chance to crit regardless anyway. So yeah, they're starting the turn at 167k defense. I've got the global one up here just so we can refresh our memories, because obviously they do get 100% attack and defense at the start of the turn. They do create all these extra orbs. Then they get 40% attack and defense when performing a super. Each super, including the first one, is 31% extra attack and defense and gives them 8% damage reduction. And then, of course, both of their super attacks are a 30% defense raise as well. So they're one of those units that you need to get a bunch of supers within the one turn, or they can absolutely just, you know, fraud out and not have a great time. But ideally, we will get some good RNG along the way here. We've started off nicely with God Goku actually dodging all of the attacks here in slot 1. We're running the Super Saiyan 200% team. Be interesting to see how well this team survives all of the meta shift with the anniversary content, because the LR Super Saiyans themselves are kind of RNG related. It's kind of crazy to think that, like, they get these super attacks based on getting 3 orbs, right? Each 3 orbs gives them an extra additional attack that has a chance to become a super. And then not long after their release, they dropped all of these anniversary LRs, especially like the Gammas. They need like 2 in orbs to do 2 additional supers or something crazy. So I mean, these guys still have the potential to be very good going forward. But they are going to rely on RNG a lot. Now, having a unit like Trunks and Broly on the team who create those extra rainbow orbs to help bridge the gap between the orbs on the field is going to be super, super useful. Because I did mention this in their original showcase when I talked about this whole, if they're in slot 1 or slot 3, they create rainbow orbs. The way that works, for those of you who don't know, with the way rotations play out, you'll know, of course, if you float a unit off in slot 3, then they come back 3 turns later. But what will happen is, when they come back, so if they're floating them off on turn 1 here, they're going to come back on turn 4. When they come back on turn 4, they will be in slot 1, which means they will activate their rainbow orb changing. Which of course then helps out the entire rotation. Obviously they benefit from getting rainbow orbs by doing extra attack, but it's not something that they are relying on getting, right? And we can see here in the final slot, we did get lucky that the Super Saiyan trio didn't actually kill, and then we get a 6.4 million attack stat. So the attack stat's not anything that crazy, but that of course does allow us to actually finish off the enemy. So they're kind of a strange unit, like for the Super Saiyans team, where we're not running them in slot 3 as this like crazy strong support unit that's buffing the rotation by giving them, you know, a crazy amount of extra attack and defense or anything like that. But just having the rainbow orbs there and being able to bridge the gap between some of these other orbs and give other units the ability to get the number of orbs they need, especially when we look at the God Goku, right? We talked about this when the Super Saiyan LR trio originally came out on both versions around Christmas time. the fact that one of the better units on the Super Saiyans team, especially for slot 1, is God Goku, but he is a unit that is hungry for orbs and creates his own orbs. And then of course the Super Saiyan trio are the same, and they can end up sort of screwing each other over by changing each other's orb typing depending on which one's first in the rotation. So having a unit that can then float in to that spot in on the turn and create a bunch of rainbow orbs, which can then help to bridge some of those other like clusters of orbs together, can be really, really useful. I mean, you saw literally on turn 1, we got 6 orbs for God Goku. We then got 10 orbs for the Super Saiyans, including the int orbs that they needed. I mean, obviously with 10 orbs, they're going to be getting a lot of ki anyway, but for them to get the full 24 ki, and then we still got 2 rainbow orbs and more than enough ki to get the 18 ki super for Trunks and Broly as well. So that rotation was very, very good on turn 1. And then here we're going to get a bunch of attacks off. We only got 8 orbs, so we're only going to get 2 additionals from their passive, but that should be enough here. They got a decent amount of damage reduction, so we're still tanking the normals. Now with the Super Saiyan trio, it's always going to be an issue. They dodged a bunch this time, which is cool, but if they'd eaten the super from the physical blue duo here, then we probably would have just got killed. But the STR Goku Vegeta in slot 1 eating those attacks is quite good. They actually link really well with Trunks and Broly. I mentioned that in the original showcase as well. But of course, I did my original showcase because they dropped on Global. And we don't have the EZA for the STR Goku Vegeta on Global. So obviously they're not as good. Now, do I keep you in slot 1? I could. You've got no build-up or anything. You do have guard. God Goku is going to struggle with the orbs otherwise, but we could do this. Then we grab... You did get a few supers off last turn, didn't you? But we probably do just want to save your abilities, so we'll do that. And then... There you go. We're still able to get the 6. That's what we like to see. Alright, that works out quite nicely. No slot 1 super, though, ideally. Yeah, 64k still. I mean, Broly has the potential, like, especially once he's transformed, right? He can handle slot 1 reasonably well. But I mean, the Super Saiyans team got a ridiculous amount of buffs. It was kind of crazy seeing, you know, when they revealed Broly and Gogeta, considering it wasn't that long off of the release of the LR Super Saiyan trio, seeing them coming out, and then it's just like, well, that's a huge buff to the Super Saiyans team. And yeah, we get the STR Vegeta EZA during the anniversary. The team's cooking with some really, really good units. And yeah, having this Trunks and Broly, hopefully they don't get clapped in these later phases. Now, floating them in slot 3 obviously does give you the opportunity for them to avoid taking damage a lot. Because, I mean, this video, I'm going to get, you know, I'm going to have the thumbnail made so it's like Tech, Broly and Trunks versus Gogeta. But we might not even really get that many opportunities for them to do a huge amount. Because they are going to be getting floated off. I think we'll probably... When we get them onto this next rotation with the STR Goku Vegeta, maybe I will keep them on the rotation, because I do want to see a bit more out of their specific performance. But it's always the way, right? Like, I don't want to do a video where they don't really do anything. But the kind of the overarching point I'm getting at is they could be really useful on this team, but you would be using them as a 3rd slot floating unit, right? You're not going to be keeping them on main rotation, I wouldn't have thought. Especially when you look at all the other units that we have on the team and all the competition for like those spots, right? All these other units that are vying for a spot on this team. Trunks and Broly are probably not taking a spot from any of those top tier summonable units, but you know, they appear in slot 1 here. So we get the rainbow orb changing. Then of course the Super Saiyans created their orbs. Now we do have 5 links with these guys. Now, when they transform, they got all their links activated. See, on this rotation, this would be pretty cool for the whole team. But let me just double check. Their EZA stuff is going to be all in Japanese, isn't it? But, I mean, we can still see the links. Yeah, see, they get 4 of their links change, which means if we do go ahead and change their... If we do go ahead and transform them, they are going to lose a bunch of the links that they do share with these guys. But if we do want to see Trunks and Broly, I mean, I guess to be fair, on this rotation, if we did this, we definitely would see them have to take some attacks, huh? So let's go ahead and actually just fuse with a Vegeta. Where is the super? It's in slot 1, because of course it is. And then how do they link up with him after he transforms? Yeah, see, they dropped to only having the 3 links. But in the middle, they would have 4 still. Okay. So how do I want to get around this super attack in slot 1? We got 600k defense and 30% damage reduction. Or we could go ahead and use the super attack with these guys. Use the active skill with these guys. Get the on super buff. And then, of course, they have damage reduction and type advantage. So if we go ahead and do that, 15 mil. And then that gives us, yeah, almost 1 million defense start of turn. So they should be able to live the super here. And then I guess let's see how well Trunks and Broly do against these normals. Because we're getting near to the end of the event. The main problem being, of course, that... Do I want to do... Yeah, I kind of have to keep them in slot 1, really, don't I? So let's do this. And then, will we get another turn? Because, I mean, I would like to see these guys against the STR GOGETA. But then I suppose the other problem you have to think about is the fact that they don't really... they're not going to be good against AoEs, right? Because they get all their defense and damage reduction on super. But... we can get full 24 key and 3 rainbow orbs here. So let's see how well... we'll see how well they get on in slot 3. They have to eat a bunch of normals if they don't kill him. Which again is kind of the thing here, right? Like we would probably hope that this rotation just plays out with us beating Gogeta here. Because the Super Saiyans are going to get 2 extra attacks because we got 6 orbs. So we don't know how many of those are going to convert into supers. Then Vegito's going to super attack. He's only getting hit once. I mean, I guess to be fair, if we were going for... I probably should have just put Trunks and Broly in slot 2. Could have kept them on rotation, and then Vegito's going to get 1 million counters in slot 3. But I just think in terms of a more realistic scenario, like if you're trying to actually just win the event, you're probably not floating off Super Vegito, right? Because he's one of the best units on the team. Well, I say one of the best. I mean, look at the units we got on the team. We got Broly, we got Gogeta, the LR Super Saiyan trio still are no slouches, of course. But yeah, let's see. Now, remember, we also get the buff from Vegito's super attack, which is no small thing. So, 6.68. And remember, they only share 3 links with him after he transforms as well. So that's really good. Now, can we get the additionals from the passive? That's the big thing, right? 2 additional attacks to have a 30% chance to become a super. 1 of them did become a super. So that's what, 16% damage reduction we now have, as well as an extra 2 extra 30% buffs, because one's from the passive, one's from the super attack effect. Then they get an additional normal from the hidden potential. Ooh, yeah, okay. So yeah, unfortunately, the boys, that's 2 normals. I mean, this Gogeta post-super, let's not get it twisted. The amount of damage that this guy does post-super attack is pretty ridiculous. So I'm going to jump back in. I want to see, like, that did play out really well overall, but I kind of want to see if we can get actually through to the end. See, this is the problem. If they start in slot 2, then obviously we don't get any orb changing at all. What's the chances that he's going to slot 1 super me? I feel like it's probably quite high. But let's do this. Then we'll do that. I'll give you those. That's the thing with the Super Saiyans team. I think I mentioned, of course he did. I mentioned this in the solo showcase, I'm pretty sure. But like on the Super Saiyans team, you don't really want to float the LR Super Saiyan trio because they get their buff from their 18 key super for 3 turns. Which obviously means if you float them off, they don't come back until turn 4. Which then means they don't have that buff anymore. So they lose a lot of their... they just lose a lot about what makes them good, what gives them the higher stats and everything. They lose a lot of that if you're floating them off in slot 3. And of course, Trunks and Broly are not a unit that are going to be particularly good in slot 1. So they are pretty much, if you're going to be running them on the Super Saiyan team, they are a slot 3 unit, right? Now, we did see, of course, from the end of that last run, I mean, 2 supers. Bear in mind, like, if you get the God RNG from their passive, they're getting 3. Now, it's quite a bit of extra defense and then an extra 8% damage reduction, which does make a difference. But, I mean, they were taking over 300k from normals. So, it would be interesting to see if we could, because there's no way to make it happen, but if we could get the God RNG turn where they get, like, 4 super attacks, because then not only are they getting all of those stat buffs, but then we're getting up to a full 32% damage reduction. Then they should be tanking the normals relatively well. But this is, of course, where, as we speculated in the solo showcase, the thoughts about what they could potentially have with their EZA are going to come into question, right? Because one of the popular thoughts about why they have sped up the process of getting these guys up to an LR, because every step of the process, right? Farmable tech trunks came out. Then we had the medals, like the extra stages come out with the medals to awaken them into a TUR. And then we had the extra stage come out, and then you get the medals to awaken them into an LR. On JP, every one of those steps were 2 months apart. Whereas on Global, they've only been 1 month apart. So from start to finish, it basically took half the time for us to get the final actual LR Trunks and Broly. Now, has that been done so that both versions can get the EZA at the same time? Because remember, Saiyan Day could quite easily be something Broly related. I mean, Broly, Super Broly came out for the anniversary. Saiyan Day a couple of years ago was Z Broly from the first Broly movie. So I wouldn't necessarily expect a Broly himself, but we could see something like the movie 8 Goku, because we still don't have a representation of that Goku, right? We have the wallpaper of Broly fighting Goku from the first movie, but we don't have that Goku. Now, of course, that would probably be another Super Saiyan Goku, which I think a lot of people would not be super excited for. But something that I've talked about in videos already, and I'm going to mention it when I put out the video some of you guys have heard me talk about on stream with the custom celebration design thing. I think it would be really, really interesting if we got a Super Saiyan 3 character for Saiyan Day. And it could quite easily be a character that is, you know, one of the Super Saiyan 3 Dokkan Fests that we've seen in the past, who are not necessarily one of the canon, like, Super Saiyan 3 characters, right? Because heroes, we have our Super Saiyan 3s, like the adult Gotenks, we have Gohanks, there's obviously the Gogeta and Vegito Super Saiyan 3 that we still haven't gotten in Dokkan yet. But we got Vegeta, Broly, and Bardock Super Saiyan 3s, of course, as standalone Dokkan Fests. So there's no reason why they couldn't do that again in the future. So I think that would be quite interesting. Like, imagine if Saiyan Day was a Super Saiyan 3 Broly, and then they dropped an EZA for this LR Trunks and Broly for both versions at the same time. I mean, I don't think they would drop something like that so soon, especially when they've just announced the Super EZA thing on JP, but like, imagine if they dropped the Super EZA for Tech Broly, Tech Super Saiyan 3 Broly. I'm pretty sure they've already said that they are going in like the release order of the EZAs, which means that it definitely won't be Super Saiyan 3 Broly for a considerable amount of time. But I would be really hyped to see like a Super. Imagine they did a new Super Saiyan 3 Broly for Saiyan Day and it's actually good. There's the physical free-to-play Super Saiyan 3 Broly that still doesn't have an EZA. I wouldn't necessarily expect great things from that unit, but there's a few things they could do, right, that would be relevant for awakening Trunks and Broly, but it would probably have to be Broly related, right, because Saiyan Day is usually always just a pure Saiyan, so we're probably not going to get some kind of like Trunks specific celebration or anything like that, but would be interesting to see. I think it'd be cool. Maybe even like a Z Broly and Paragus, maybe. I don't know. Be interesting. Of course, adding Paragus into the mix, just as we've seen with the Super version, the Int unit, kind of ruins all the categories and everything. So maybe we don't really want that. But you know, something Broly related would be cool because a lot of people want to see that Tech LR Broly get his EZA. I think that could be very exciting. So yeah, who knows? Let me know what you guys think down below. If you could get something Broly related for Saiyan Day, what would you like it to be? Imagine if they finally brought out God Broly into Dokkan as well. That would actually be so hype. I don't think that will ever happen, but I made a video about that. If you don't know what God Broly is, it's from the 4D movie that was in Universal Studios in Japan. If you've never seen it, search on my channel for it. I made a video about it ages ago. I think it's called like the Broly movie you've never seen or something like that. It was quite a while ago, but yeah, the design for God Broly is really cool. Toyotaro actually drew a picture of him like a while ago, even though that's the only thing he's been in, like this 4D movie. And it's not the God form with the red hair. It's like his own weird sort of like longer hair. Kind of looks a bit like Super Saiyan 3, but with like big long like bangs at the front. It's kind of interesting. He is in Heroes, I believe. But yeah, that'd be kind of cool, because he'd be on crossover. They never explain, as far as I know, in the 4D movie what the form actually is or how he got it. So I don't know, like, I don't think it is actually like a Realm of Gods like form. But I mean, it would certainly be interesting. So let's see, what do I want to do here? I guess we could do... I floated you all the guys off on the previous turn, though, so I kind of need to float them off, don't I? I mean, let's see how well they tank against this first phase here, I suppose, because we do want to get some actual performance from them in the video. So we've got 3 Rainbow Orbs. We've got the untransformed version of Goku and Vegeta. So we have every single link active except for Shattering the Limit. On Super from their passive, they get 40% extra buff, right? So they're going up to about 230-ish. Then their super attack effect gives them 30%. So we're looking at close to 290. Their passive, they get 30% from doing a super and 8% damage reduction. So 330-ish. So we're talking about minimum sort of 330 to 350 defense with 8% damage reduction. That's their bare minimum. Now, the problem is, as we've seen from the later phase against Tech Gogeta, now with the new difficult content that we have from the anniversary, that doesn't even mean that they're necessarily tanking all normal attacks. So we do need to get lucky with the RNG in order for them to be able to tank. And then, of course, even if we get... I'd be very interested to see if we get the 4 supers turn and then see how much damage they actually take from a super attack. Because there probably would still be quite a lot, unfortunately. But... we'll see how this plays out here. We've got 3 Rainbow Orbs, so we get a decent little attack buff. Yeah, 7.4 mil. I mean, that's not bad. And then, yeah, like, they're tanking a lot of the early phase normals after 1 super. And then it just comes down to how many extra supers do we get. So there's the first one from the passive, 5.4. Remember, the 2 attacks from their passive have a 30% chance to become a super. So now we have over 400k defense and 16% damage reduction. And then we do get the additional from the hidden potential. So now we're talking closer to 500k or even over 500k defense with 24% damage reduction. But of course, they're going to get immediately supered. I would have liked to at least see them tank a normal here, because I'm fairly sure they would tank a normal from these guys for double-digit damage. But the super... actually, 496, I mean... this is a free-to-play unit that you get from quest mode. I'm not going to complain about 500k from that super, I guess. But then, to be fair, that was the almost best RNG turn, right? 3 supers out of a possible 4. Whereas your worst-case scenario is 1 super and then 2 additional normals. And then we probably died to that, right? Because we had an extra 16% damage reduction that we wouldn't have had if we hadn't done those 2 additional supers. So, on a 1 super 2 normals turn, they probably die on that rotation, unfortunately. But... hey, I mean, they ate it and we survived, and we finished the phase and move on to the next one. So, I mean, I guess there is that. But the question is, can we make it through this next part? Because, how do I want to do this? Probably like this, I guess, right? Grab the 8 orbs for you, and then we grab AGL orbs for you. Get a nice big old chunk of healing along here, and then go ahead and do this so we can get the... 18 key super for Gogeta at the end. Godku gets the dodge. So I managed to bring it back with a pretty decent amount of healing. And the thing is, with these guys being a free-to-play unit, I mean, they are an LR. And they have a decent amount of stats for a free-to-play unit. So, because of course, you've got to remember, with an EZA, like, LRs don't get any extra stats because they don't get any extra levels. So it's all about their passive and what they decide to do in the passive for these guys. And the number one biggest thing they can do... obviously, we want them to ratchet up the numbers, like make their 18 key greatly raises, right? Because if they're, you know, the extra additional 12 keys just doing a normal raise attack and defense, that's all well and good, right? That's fine. That can stay the same. If it was greatly raises, that would be awesome. But make the 18 key greatly raises to give us a bigger, like, you know, starting cliff to go off from. And then, you know, the 31% in their passive per additional, like, attack, that could easily go up a little bit. I think 31 is, like, the relevant number because they have all the 3 1s and 8s in there, right? Like the 3-1% and then the 8% damage reduction. But that's the only thing that's unfortunate. If they want to stick to that, like, mean with the numbers, then it means they kind of shoot themselves in the foot a little bit because they can't give them higher stat buffs, which would be more beneficial. But the number one thing they need to do is those 2 additional attacks that have a medium chance to become a super, make those like at least a high chance. If they were great chance, that would actually be insane. Could you imagine if they made like one of them, if it was like performs an additional normal attack that has a great chance to become a super, and then performs an additional attack that has a high chance to become a super, and then why not keep in a performs an additional attack that has a medium chance to become a super as well. So then at a bare minimum they're doing 4 attacks per turn. One has a 70% chance to become a super, then 50, then 30, and then you can get the hidden potential as well. Like, then these guys would actually be cooking. I'd love to see that, because I think this unit is super awesome. They did mention on the new roadmap thing that I didn't get a chance to see it earlier, but I know some people have posted about it already, but they are bringing out a new farmable unit soon, which will be really cool to see, especially if it is freezer and cooler, which a lot of people have been asking for. The super's in slot 1 again, bruh. Oh, and there's a super in slot 3. Okay. Well, I guess we're doing this then, if we want to actually survive the turn. Alright, well, this is the time. This is the time for them to potentially get their redemption. We can get 4 orbs here. 4 rainbow orbs. That's a huge attack buff for them. So let's see. Can we actually get enough attacks? Of course, they dodged the normal. They're going to eat the super, though, aren't they? Yeah, of course they are. Of course they are. Dodge the normal, eat the super. Classic Dokkan meme. You love to see it. But we know they can eat this, right? We had it happen on the previous turn. 417. Not ideal, but, you know, at least we're alive. Can we get enough additionals with Trunks and Brolys for them to actually eat these normal attacks? Or is Tech Gogeta going to be their undoing yet again? Let's see. I'll get a couple of extra attacks off with you. Now bear in mind, we got no support. We didn't get the Vegito super attack before they've attacked this time, but we did get an extra rainbow orb. So I'm still expecting around, what, 7... It was 7.4, I think, was the highest we'd seen in this, like, setup, right? So, yeah, 7.7, pretty good. Shame we couldn't get the active skill off as well, because on the active skill turn, they do hit incredibly hard. That would be really nice. I mean, unfortunately, they can't change active skills with the way EZAs work now, but imagine, like, them giving their active skill some sort of, like, gives them, like, dodge chance or something, or just extra damage reduction for the turn would be super good. But yeah, sadly, we got the exact same RNG where we only got 2 supers. So, let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. They are a super fun unit. Like, on this team, you could use them as a slot 3 floater, give everybody else rainbow orbs, potentially, like, speed blitz some of these events a little bit more. But whilst they are a good, very fun unit, until they get an EZA, it seems like they're definitely not very well suited to the new hardest content in the game. But let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.